Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, in the city that is MPLS BGP VPN network, when the packet enters the public network forwarding, it will be encapsulated with two layers of MPLS tags. The following description of the two layers of tags, the error is option A. Private network tags are carried and distributed by MP/BGP when routing, and public network tags are distributed by the LDP protocol. Option B. MPLS BGP VPN uses two layers of tags, public labels also known as outer labels, and private network labels also known as inner labels. Option C. By default, the router assigns the same tag value to all VPN v4 routes destined for the peer. Option D. The egress PE uses the inner tag when, determining which egress CE the message should be sent to. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, the following description of the LDPLSP establishment process is correct. Option A. By default, LSRs are not the same FEC, and the received tag mappings can only come from the optimal next hop, not from the non-optimal next hop. Option B. When a network topology change causes the next hop neighbor to change, the free label keep method is used. LSR can quickly rebuild the LSP by directly using the labels sent by the original non-optimal next hop neighbor. Liberal needs more memory and tag space. Option C. In the DoD mode of label publishing, for a specific FEC, the LSR does not need to obtain a label request message from upstream to distribute the label. Option D. The process of establishing a DLSP is actually to bind the FEC to the tag and advertise this binding to the LSP upstream LSR process. Correct answer is option B and option D. Next question is, what improvements have been made to the IGMP v2 protocol compared to IGMP v1? Option A. Added maximum response time field. Option B. Added high group messages. Option C. Added specific group query message. Option D. Added a specific source group query packet. Correct answer is option A, B and option C. Next question is, configure queue-based traffic shaping which defaults to tailing if the queue length exceeds the cache size. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, for layer 2 VPN technology, the following statement is correct. Option A. VPLS is a widely used technology in the live network which can provide transparent transmission of three-layer messages and achieve multi-point access. Option B. The VPLS configuration is complex and the layer 2 network transmits BUM packets. Option C. BGP EVPN supports features such as tenant isolation, multi-homing, and broadcast suppression. Option D. BGP EVPN addresses issues such as MAC address drift and multi-tenancy that VPLS cannot support. Correct answer is option B and option C. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, a company network runs the OSPF protocol, a project in order to understand the OSPF mechanism in the network to perform packet transfer operations. The following descriptions of OSPF messages is correct. Option A. The interfaces sends a hello packet immediately after joining the OSPF region. Option B. LS update packet is sent only when the adjacency relationship is established. Option C. When an LS update packet is received, the router must send an LSACK acknowledgement. Option D. LS update packet synchronizes the link state database by sending detailed LSA information to. Write its answer in the comment section. Next question is, the LSA of type certainly does not exist in the 220 SPF stub zone. Option A, type 7, option B, type 5, option C, type 4, option D, type 3. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is, an engineer performed the ingestion operation on an OSPF router in a network of the company. Is the following statement about the introduction of the routing LSA correct? Option A. The advertising router report is set to as the router ID of ASBR. Option B. Net mask is set to all 0. Option C. Link state ID is set as the destination network segment address. Option D. Using the link state ID and advertising router, you can uniquely identify an LSA. Correct answer is option A and option C. Next question is, in broadcast networks, elections to DIS begin only after a neighbor relationship has been established. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, which of the following statement about ISIS protocol route aggregation is correct? Option A. Route aggregation can be configured and takes effect on all types of routers. Option B. Route aggregation can only take effect if configured on level 1 port routers. Option C. Route aggregation can only be configured on level 2 routers to take effect. Option D. Route aggregation can only be configured on level 1-2 routers to take effect with? Correct answer is option A. Next question is ISIS does not send CSNP packets under the P2P network type during the naval establishment process. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is in OSPF v3, router LSA is generated by each router which describes the interface address and cost of each link of the router and also includes the router ID of the neighbor routers. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is the following GR description of ISIS correct? Option A. The GR feature of AISIS is turned on by default. Option B. ISIS's GR has a total of 4 timers. Option C. ISIS's GR notifies to events and maintains neighbor relationships through CSNP messages. Option D. ISIS's GR defines a new TLV structure to support this feature. Correct answer is option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is regarding the BGP ring protection mechanism. Is the following description correct? Option A. The AS underscore path attribute is used between autonomous systems to prevent ring cats. Option B. The cluster list property is used for loop guard within the reflector cluster and the router rejects the route when it finds that the cluster list of the route entry contains its own cluster ID. Option C. Routes learned from IBGP are not advertised to IBGP neighbors and are used to prevent routing loops inside the AS. Option D. You can use the AS underscore config underscore set attribute to prevent loops within the consortium. Correct answer is option A, C and option D. Next question is regarding route policy. Is the following description correct? Option A. Advanced ACLs can be applied in route policy to filter routes. Option B. The table entries of this less and equal 128 indicate that all IPv6 routes are allowed through. Option C. If more than one node is defined in Route 1 policy, there should be at least one node in each node that matches permit. Option B. Route 1 policy filters only the default route. Next question is which of the following routing tools is unique to BGP? Option A. Route policy. Option B. ACL. Option C. IP prefix. Option D. AS path filter. Correct answer is option B, C and option D. Next question is the following about BGP routing, what is the wrong description? Option A. Non-aggregate routes take precedence over aggregate routes. Option B. In the case of pref-val local underscore preference equality, if the BGP preference of the locally generated route IBGP route eBGP route is equal, the valid reference of this generation is preceded by priority. Option C. See the following entry in the BGP routing table of this indicates that the route is available non-optimal. Option D. For next underscore hop unreachable routes are invalid cat by and do not participate in the preference logging case. Correct answer is option A. Next question is the following description of filter policy is correct. Option A. With filter policy and ASBR in OSPF, you can filter the generation of type 5 LSA and type 7 LSA. Option B. Prefix lists can be used to filter both routes and packets. Option C. Filter policy filters the link state information received or published and can modify the properties of route entries. Option D. When using a prefix list to filter routes, the table entry IP prefix 1 deny this less equal 32 matches only the default route. Correct answer is option A. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, in an MPLS VPN network, different CE devices exchange routing information with the same PE device using different routing protocols, and different CE devices use routing protocols that are independent of each other. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, which of the following options uses an alternate channel to enable communication between IPv6 addresses? Option A. Dual stack. Option B. 624. Option C. ISA-TAP. Option D. NAT64. Correct answer is option B and option C. Next question is, if a router only needs to forward IPv6 packets, you do not need to configure any IPv4 agreements and addresses on that router. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, BGP4 Plus is running between two routers and the neighbor relationship is normal, but the BGP routing table of the router on this side does not have a neighbor route entry. Option A. The route entry in the peer BGP route table is non-optimal. Option B. The next hop address of the Option C. BGP route entry is unreachable. Option D. Peer ignored is configured on the peer. Option E. The peer is configured with active route advertise. Correct answer is option A, B and option D. Next question is, which of the following options can affect the establishment of IBGP neighbors? Option A. IBGP multi-hop is not configured. Option B. Authentication is unsuccessful. Option C. IGP routing is not possible. Option D. BGP protocol version inconsistencies. Correct answer is option B, C and option D. Next question is, which of the following tools cannot be referenced directly by the if match clause in the route policy? Option A. Regular expression. Option B. IP prefix. Option C. As path filter. Option D. Community field. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, what information does this contain in a basic layer packet? Option A. Data link layer header. Option B. Upper level data. Option C. The network layer header. Option D. Path records. Option E. Network layer tail. Correct answer is option B and option C. Next question is, the correct description of configuring BGP4 Plus is that? Option A. BGP4 Plus does not support route reflectors. Option B. The next hop of a BBGP4 route can use the link local address. Option C. BGP4 configures the reflector, the role positioning of the reflector, and the client needs to be consistent with the configuration of BGP4. Option D. BGP4 specifies P. Option E. BGP4 plus router ID, BGP4 router ID. Correct answer is option B and option E. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, the following description of the MUX VLAN in Huawei switches correct? Option A. MUX VLAN, principal VLAN, subordinate VLAN, separate VLAN, isolate VLAN. Option B. Each separate VLAN can bind multiple principal VLANs. Option C. Under the same VLAN, MUX VLANs can be mixed with the super VLANs. Option D. The principal port can pass the answer to all ends within the MUX VLAN. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, the fields that represent priority in the VLAN 802.1q data encapsulation are a total of 6 bits. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is, router R1 runs the OSPF protocol. Use the display IP routing table command to view the routing table of the router 1. The following about the OSPF in the routing table is the information described correctly. Option A. In the routing table, route table entries identified by the OSPF identifier can only be learned through LSAs of type 3. Option D. In the routing table entries identified by the OSPF identifier can only pass Class 1 LSA. Option C. In the routing table entries identified by the OSPF identifier can be learned through the 1/2/3/5 LSA. Option D. In the routing table entry identified with the O_ASE identifier can only be learned by routing introduction. Correct answer is option D. Next question is the following statement about the 5 types of LSAs in OSPF is used to pass external routes. And the following statement about the 5 types of LSAs is incorrect and flooding in. Option A. OSPF networks in non-stub NSSA regions. Option B. Routers in the same zone as ASBR can calculate external routes by chanting the LSA and the 5 types of ISAs in the region. Option C. The FA address is included in the 5 types of LSAs, and the FA address is 000 only as reserved for no practical purpose. Option D. Configuring the appropriate filtering policy on the ABR or ASBR can filter 5 types of LSAs. Correct answer is option C. Next question is regarding the certification of the ISIS protocol. There is a correct statement. Option A. Connection authentication can realize the authentication of the hello messages of level 1 and level 2. Option B. After configuring the connection authentication, the IIH issued by the router must carry the authentication TLV. Option C. After configuring zone authentication, the router issues an IIH SNP LSP strap to tape authentication TLV. Option D. The two routers are configured for area authentication and interface authentication, and the passwords are the same, so the two can establish an isocopied relationship. Correct answer is option A and option B. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, if you run PIMSM in a multicast network, you need to build a multicast forwarding tree between the multicast source and the receiver to enable the receiver to receive the multicast effect. So what are the following options for the correct tree sketch for the build? Option A. What is built between the multicast source and the RP is the SPT tree. Option B. RP and the receiver is built between the RPT tree. Option C. Built between the RPT tree. Option D. RP and the swap is the SPT tree. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is the following description of the BSR RP mechanism correct? Option A. PIMSM domain can have more than one CBSR, but only one BSR can be elected by the CBSR that receives. The CRP packets are collected C1RP information. Option B. BSR advertises BSR and CRP information to all routers in the PIM-SM domain by flooding bootstrap packets. Option C. ACBSR can also collect CRP information by receiving CRP packets. Correct answer is option A, B and option C. Next question is what is the following description of LDP reliability? Option A. LGPR graceful restart takes advantage of the high difference between the LS forwarding plane and the control plane to realize that the device forwards without interruption when the protocol is restarted or the master standby is reversed. Option B. Manually configured LDP FRR policy defaults to a 32-bit backup route that triggers LDP to establish a backup ISP. Option C. The LDP ERR can also generate an ISP for a tag map from a non-optimal next hop and create a forwarding table entry as a backup of the primary LSP. Option D. LDP and LGP linkage, the need for IGP to suppress the release of routes to ensure that LDP and LGP paths are consistent. Correct answer is option B. Next question is RD is used to distinguish the same IP address in different VPNs. How many bits does RD contain? Option A 64, option B 32, option C 16, option D 128. Correct answer is option A. Next question is regarding the MPLS handling mode of TTL. Is the following description correct? Option A. Pipe mode. When an IP message passes through the MPLS network, the IPTTL-1 is mapped to the WLS TTL field at the incoming node. Option B. The TTL in the BMPLS label has the same meaning as the TTL field in the head. TTL prevents MPLS networks from developing bad routing. Option C. Uniform style. When an IP packet passes through the MPLS network, the IPTTL of the incoming node is -1. The MPLS TTL field is a fixed value. Option D. In MPLS VPI, if you need to hide the structure of the MPLS backbone network, you can use uniform mode on Incase for private network messages. Correct answer is option B. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, if an administrator wants to manage certain routes on the router during operations, The following tools are listed below. These routes can be flagged so that administrators can configure policies. Option A. If the BGP protocol is running, the route is marked with the community attribute. Option B. Use ACLs to tag routes on the router. Option C. Use the tag value to mark the route on the router. Option D. Use JP prefix to tag routes on the router. IP prefix. Correct answer is option A and option C. Next question is, after BGP introduces routes for other protocols, the next hop in the BGP routing table is consistent with the next hop of the introduced routing protocol. Option A true, option B false. Correct answer is option B false. Next question is, in addition to stateless address auto-configuration, IPv6 devices can also obtain addresses, gateways, DNS, and other information through DHCP v6. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is, in an IPv6 network, two nodes A and B are neighbors to each other if node A sends NS messages to node B, if node B is B after receiving the message. Reply to the NA message, then view it on node A. What will the neighbor status be marked? Option A, reachable. Option B, incomplete. Option C, stale. Option D, probe. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, regarding the cross-domain VPN option B scenario, what is the following description incorrect? Option A. In the process of packet forwarding, the private network LSP of the VPN should be exchanged once on the two ASBRs and eBGP neighbor relationship. Option C. Cross-domain VPN and option. Option B. Scheme is not limited by the number of interconnection links between ASBRs. Option D. The outer layer label is exchanged between two ASBRs to VPN v4 routes. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, you need to configure smart policy routing on the router to specify that specific traffic is forwarded through an interface. When policy-based routing is applied, what are the two most typical types of information that can be used to forward traffic along a particular path? Option A. The TTL and source IP address of the packet. Option B. Source A address and the layer 2 source address. Option C. Source IP address and specific protocol such as FTP, HTTP, etc. Option D. Service type header and message length. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, cross-device link aggregation realizes the back-to-back transmission of data traffic and the mutual spare of the heap member switches. But due to the limited bandwidth of the heap cable between the heap devices, the forwarding efficiency can be improved in the following ways. Option A. Enable traffic to be forwarded locally first. Option B. Connect the stacking device via a stacking card. Option C. Configure the stacking system MAC address switching. Option D. Enables the stacking multi-master check function. Correct answer is option A. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, what are the following advanced features supported by BGP eVPN? Option A. ARP broadcast suppression. Option B. VRRP over VXLAN. Option C. Multi-active gateway. Option D. WIAN-QoS. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is the following correct statement for the VXLAN message? Option A. The outer destination IP address is the IP address of the VTEP at the far end of the VXLAN tunnel. Option D. The source UDP port number is 4789. Option C. The destination UDP port number is 4789. Option D. VNI has 24T bits to distinguish the VIAN segment. Correct answer is option A, C and option D. Next question is to achieve an on-machine migration in the BGP eVPN distributed gateway scenario. Which of the following messages is required? Option A. Type 5. Option B. Type 4. Option C. Type 1. Option D. Type 2. Option E. Type 3. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, the means of the land attack is that the attacker sends an SVN packet messages with the same source and destination addresses to the target host. The source port and the destination port are the same, and the receiver waits for the final ACK packet to be sent. The connection is always in a semi-connected state, resulting in a full limited TCP reception waste of resources. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, the following statement about the Security Alliance SA in a IPsec is wrong with? Option A. SA is uniquely identified by a triple that includes the security parameters index, security parameter index, the source IP address, and the security protocol number ASE/SP used. Option B. Use the display IPsec command to view information such as the encryption method used with another IPsec peer, the traffic of interest, and so on. Next question is, sorry, next option is IPsec only supports encrypting data using the pair encryption algorithm. Option D. IPsec peers must be at a two-way SA to establish an IPsec VPN connection to close. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, if there are multiple recipients in a multicast group, the administrator enables the IGMP snooping function on the switch connecting the recipient. And when the receiver receives the universal group query packet of the querier from the switch, how should multiple recipients respond? Option A. The first recipient whose response time expires sends the report message. The other receivers do not. Option B. All recipients will respond to report messages only if ICMP v2 is running. Option C. All recipients will respond to the report message only if the IGMP v1 is running. Option D. All recipients will respond to the report message. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, both the CSNP packet of ISIS and the DD packet of OSPF have a role in the MA network. Describing the role of the link state database summary, which is correct compared to the following statements of these two types of messages. Option A. Both packets need to be confirmed to the terminal router after being sent, otherwise they need to be transmitted. Option B. Once the adjacency relationship is established, the CSRP packet and the D message will stop sending. Option C. The two packets do not need to be confirmed to the router after they are sent. The master-slave relationships in the DD message interaction off. Option D. OSPF is not identity bound to DR BDR. The CSN message is generated only by DIS. Correct answer is option D. Next question is regarding route introduction. What is the following description of the error? Option A. BGP supports both import and network when generating routes, and the network mode is more precise. Option B. By default, OSPF introduces an external route with a default metric of 1 and the level 2 network of the ingested external route type 2. Option C. ISIS routes to level after the one makes a route ingestion. If you do not manually configure the ingestion policy, a bad route will be found. Option D. Introducing iBGP routing in OSPF may cause routing loops. Correct answer is option C. Next question is the following description of the RD attribute filter for BGP is correct. Option A. If RD filter is not configured but the RT filter is referenced for filtering, the matching result is deny. Option B. If RD filter is configured but the routed RT is not matched with any of the RDs defined in the rule, the default match result is permit. Option C. Multiple rules are matched in the order in which they are configured. Option D. There is always an or relationship between the rules configured by RD filter. Correct answer is option C and option D. Next question is the following description of the LSP SARD extension for ISIS is correct. Option A. Enables is routers to generate more LSP SARDs to carry more ISIS information. Option B. ISIS SARD extension is equally valid for hello packets. Option C. SARD scaling for ISIS is achieved by adding virtual systems up to 1000 virtual systems. Option D. The ISIS router can produce a maximum of 1024 SARDs. Correct answer is option A. Next question is when DLDP detects the presence of a one-way link in the fiber, the default actions of Huawei equipment include the DLDP state machine migrates to the disabled state, outputs trap information, and automatically sets the interface to a blocked state. True or false? Write the answer in the comment section. Next question is what are the main reasons why RSTP converges faster than STP? Option A. RSTP increases the variety of port states. Option B. RSTP has a smaller overhead. Option C. RSTP does not converge based on timer. Option D. RSTP has a smaller timer. Correct answer is option A. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, in an intra-domain MPLS VPN network, when a packet enters the public network and is forwarded, it is encapsulated with two layers of MPLS tags, and the description of the two layers of tags in the following options is incorrect. Option A. The outer level of MPLS VPN is assigned by the LDP protocol or statically, and the inner level is assigned by the MPBGP neighbor of the peer. Option B. The outer level of MPLS VPN is called a private network level, and the inner level is called a public network level. Option C. The outer level is used to correctly send packets to the appropriate VPN. Option D. On the PE device by default, the outer level is ejected before the packet is forwarded to the last hop device. Correct answer is option B and option C. Next question is which of the following does the digital certificate not contain? Option A. Digital envelopes. Option B. Issued by. Option C. Digital signature. Option D. Public key information. Correct answer is option A. Next question is the following statement about RSTP root protection is correct. Option A. Turning on root protection on the root port takes effect. Option B. The port that runs on the root protection receives the RST BDPU with a higher priority and will enter the error down state. Option C. It is recommended that you turn it on. on a switch that is at the edge of the network. Option D. After opening the root protected port and receiving the RST BPDU with a higher priority. If it does not continue to receive the RST BPDU with a higher priority for a period of time, it will return to the normal forwarding state. Correct answer is option C and option D. Next question is, a medium-sized campus network manages the network through the SNMP protocol, and the campus is highly network safe. So which version of SNMP is recommended for management? Option A, SNMP V1. Option B, SNMP V2C. Option C, SNMP Option B, SNMP V2. Option C, SNMP V3. Option D, all versions are available to implement. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, what are the problems with manually creating static VS-LAN tunnels in campus networks? Option A. Although the static VXLAN tunnels mode can support distributed gateway application scenarios, the configuration workload is large and the configuration adjustment is complex. Option B. In devices to establish static VXLAN tunnels, you need to manually configure up to n (n-1) divided by 2 tunnels. The amount of configuration is large. Option C. VTEP can only learn remote MAC addresses in a way that relies on data flooding. Option D. Static VLAN tunnel also uses related protocols on the control plane which will cause equipment source loss. Correct answer is option A, B and option C. Next question is, a switch joins a running stacking system after powering up, a behavior known as heap overlay. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, router HW enables OSPF and router HW has the role of ABR and is configured with ABR summary. Then which class LSA will it be aggregated? Option A, 1 class LSA. Option B, 2 kind LSA. Option C, 3 kind LSA. Option D, 4 kind LSA. Option E, 5 class LSA. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is, in Huawei device, when ISIS introduces external routes and sets external route tags for route information, the metric type of ISIS does not need to be modified and remains default. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is the following description of OSPF virtual links correct? Option A. A virtual connection can be established in any area after which it itself belongs to the region. Option B. The virtual connection IP is used as the link address. Option C. Virtual links can be used to solve the problem of Zone 0 being segmented. Option D. The cost of a virtual connection is zero and is optimal link. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, what kind of scenario can use AS one path and one filter? Option A. Filter routes received from BGP neighbors based on the AS path attribute that the route carries. For example, the command pair this as path filter import. Option B. The apply clause in route policy. Option C. Filter routes sent to BGP neighbors based on the AS path attribute that the route carries. For example, the command pair this path filter export. Option D. If Natch clause answer in route policy. Correct answer is option A, C and option D. Next question is, without dividing the zone, is the following description of the link state routing protocol correct? Option A. Each router establishes a topology for the entire floodplain. Option B. Each router learns route entries directly from the route update and adds them to the routing table. Option C. Routers in the flood domain may receive the same link state information repeatedly. Option D. Routers throughout the flood domain have the same database of wrong states. Option E. The router will send all the MIS routing status information from one neighbor to all other neighbors to ensure the synchronization of the database. Correct answer is option A and option D. Option A, C and option D. Next question is, if the OSPF protocol is running in the network after configuring the non-backbone area in the OSPF area as the totally stub region, the AVR router sends a message to totally. The stub region issues an LSA with an LSID of 0000 and what type of LSA is the LAS2? Option A. LSA 5. Option B. LSA 2. Option C. LSA 1. Option D. LSA 3. Correct answer is option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, in the forwarding table of the switch, a MAC address can correspond to only one outlet at a time. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is, how do 802.1W and 802.1D handle BPDUs? Option A. The 802.1D bridge only forwards BPDU packets received from the root bridge. Option B. 802.1D bridges do not forward BPDU packets. Option C. The 802.1W bridge only forwards BPDU packets received from the root bridge. Option D. H12-891W bridge does not forward BPDU packets? Correct answer is option A. Next question is, which of the following scenarios send free ARP messages? Option A. After the VRRP protocol master and standby role election is completed. Option B. The DHCP client receives an acknowledgement message from the server after it sends it. Option C. When a new host configured with an IP address is connected to the network. Option D. When a host connected to the switch issues a ping message. Correct answer is option A, B, and option C. Next question is, what are the reasons why the BGP connection is down after it is successfully established? Option A. The wrong BGP packet was not received. Option B. The mandatory attribute in the route update packet is missing. Option C. Open message negotiation failed. Option D. After the BGP connection is established, the keep alive message is not received within the negotiated hold time. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, BGP can only automatically aggregate routes whose source is incomplete. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, there are two community filters, IP Community Lite, IP-EMIT 101201, IP Community Filter 2 Permit 101, IP Community Filter 2 Permit 21. Regarding the above community filter, the correct description is option A. As long as the group attribute value carried in the BGP route contains 100:1 or 200:1 or both, the BGP route matches the community filter. Option B. As long as the group attribute value carried in the BGP route contains 100:1 or 200:1 or both, the BGP route matches community filter 2. Above was filter 1. Option C. The BGP route matches community filter 1 only if the community attribute values carried in the BGP route contain 100:1 and 200:1. Option D. A BGP route matches community filter 2 only if the group attribute values carried in the BGP route include 100:1 and 200:1. Correct answer is option B and option C. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Question is, network managers can use CAR technology in traffic policing. What of the following technologies can be applied in CAR? Option A. Double barrel 2 speed. Option B. Double barrel single speed. Option C. Single barrel single speed. Option D. 3 barrels of single quick. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is, in an MPLS BGP VPN networking that does not enable MPLS penultimate hop pop-up technology, when the message reaches the last hop PE, the message has two layers of labels, and the two layers of label values can be the same. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is regarding the MPLS basic forwarding process. The following description is incorrect. Option A. By default, the PHP-enabled erase node assigns a label value of 3 to the inverted second hop node. Option B. When an IP message enters the MPLS domain, the MPLS boundaries device inserts a new label between the two-layer 2 header and the IP header. Option C. When the P message enters the MPLS domain, check whether the tunnel ID value corresponding to the destination IP address is 0x00. If the tunnel ID value is 0x0, then enter the MPLS forwarding process. Option D. The transport node device replaces the existing top of stack label outermost label with the label assigned by the next hop device. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, in EPIM SM, the following description of the PIM join message is correct. Option A. APIM join messages are sent every 3 minutes and status. Option B. PIM join messages for the multicast tree are only sent when the multicast tree is first established. Option C. The PIM join message is sent every 60 seconds to refresh the status of the upstream router to route for the multicast tree. Option D. The upstream router sends a PIM join acknowledgement in response to each PIM join messages received from the downstream router. Correct answer is option C. Next question is the correct statement about the difference between OSPF v2 and OSPF v3 is. Option A. Both OSPF v2 and OSPF v3 support interface authentication, and OSPF v3 authentication is still based on the fields in the OSPF message header. Option B. OSPF v3 is similar to OSPF v2 in that it uses a multicast address as the OSPF message destination address. Option C. The same type of message exists in OSPF v2, OSPF v3, Hello, DD, LSR, LSU, SLA, ACK. Their message format is the same. Option D. OSPF v2 has the protocol number 89 in the IPv4 packet header. OSPF v3, the next number in the IPv6 message header is 89. Correct answer is option B, C and option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, in RSTP, which port provides a backup path to reach the root node of the spanning tree? What state is the port in? Option A, root port and listening status. Option B, alternate port and forwarding status. Option C, alternate port and learning status. Option D, designated port and listening status. Option E, alternate port and discarding status. Correct answer is option E. Next question is ISIS protocol in broadcast networks and P2P networks. When the router receives LSP, it needs to use PSNP to confirm and ensure the synchronization of LSDB. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Next question is the following statement about ISIS protocol LSP messages is correct. Option A. The ISP rapid diffusion feature which first diffuses out LSPs that are smaller than a specified number, speeding up the synchronization process of LSDB. Option B. By configuring an LSP-generated smart timer, the timer automatically adjusts the delay time based on the frequency at which the routing information changes. Option C. As link status information increases, the packet length of the LSP can be increased so that each ISP can carry more information. Option D. Reducing the minimum interval at which LSPs are sent per port can speed up the diffusion of LSPs. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is router RI and router R1 and router R2 run BGP. Both routers are in the AS65234. The route for router R2 exists in the BGP routing table of the router R1, but not in the IP routing table of the router R1. So what caused the problem to occur? Option A. Synchronization is turned off. Option B. The BGP neighbor relationship is down. Option C. Router R1 does not enable BGP multi-hop. Option D. Routing is not optimal. Correct answer is option D. Next question is regarding the OSPF v3 protocol. What is the error described below? Option A. Under the Sukugan of a shared router, each OSPF v3 process run independently. Option B. Multiple instances can be run in the same OSPF v3 under the same interface. Option C. Can support running multiple instances on a single link. Option D. OSPF v3 message header will contain instance IDFU dual flogging. Correct answer is option B. Next question is the following is the correct statement about the LSA of OSPF V3. Option A. Inter-area prefix SS link state ID contains the prefix. Option B. Router LSA and network LSA does not contain routing information. Option C. When the intra-area prefixes LSS reference link state type 2, reference link state ID contains the interface to DR ID. Option D. Inter-area prefix LSA also contains link local information file. Correct answer is option B and option C. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is the following description of the characteristics of multi-instance CE is. Option A. Since the MCE device is already bound to the VPN, there is no need to bind the VPN on the PE connected on the MCE device. Option B. The MCE device can determine the source of the routing information according to the interface that receives the routing information and maintain it in the route forwarding table of the corresponding VP. Option C. MCE is implemented by creating their own routing forwarding tables for different VPNs on the MCE device and binding to the corresponding interface. Option D. Configuring MCE enables a CE to connect to multiple VPNs at the same time, which can not only completely isolate the service between different VPN users but also reduce the input cost of the network equipment. Correct answer is option A. Next question is users within a typical VPN can only communicate with each other, not with internet users and with internet. But VPN individual sites may have access to internet's need. The correct description of the implementation of VPN interconnection with internet is option A is implemented on the user side and the CE is directly connected to the internet. Each user site can be connected to the internet separately. That is, the CE of each site is configured with a default route to the internet. Option B. Implementing a complex implementation on PE and having security implications. PE devices may be subject to DDoS attack on the internet. Option C. Implemented on PE, the PE device issues a default route to the CE to the internet and adds a default route to the VPN instance routing table pointing to the internet gateway. Option D. Implemented on the user side, the implementation method is simple and the public network and private network routes are isolated, safe and reliable. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is the following message about the register in PIM-SM describes the correct. Option A. The register message enables the RP to learn the multicast source information. Option B. The register message is sent by the receiver router. Option C. Register messages are sent to RPV via unicast instead of multicast. Option D. The register message is sent by the source DR. Correct answer is option A, C and option D. Next question is host HW1, the HW device network wants to join a video conference. So what does that host do? Option A sends an IGMP v2 membership report to the default router unicast of the local network. Option B sends a unicast IGMP v2 membership report to the RP. Option C. The IGMP v2 membership report is sent over multicast in the local network and the multicast address carried in the IGMP v2 membership report is the multicast address that you want to join. Option D. The IGMP v2 membership report is sent over multicast in the local network and the destination multicast address of the IGMP v2 membership report is all PIM routers 224002 multicast address. Correct answer is option C. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, a campus deployed both IPv4 and IPv6 networks for service testing and ran ISIS to interconnect the networks. The ISIS routing protocol has good scalability and is widely used in the live network. Regarding ISIS extensibility, which of the following statements is true? Option A. In order to support IPv6, ISIS needs to add TLV to carry IPv6 address information. Option B. ISIS uses the TLV structure to build messages, making ISIS more flexible and extensible. Option C. NLPID is a new type of TLV added by ISIS to support IPv6. Option D. For ISIS, adding new features simply adds a new TLV to. Correct answer is option A, B and option D. Next question is regarding the domain authentication mode MD5 hello command in the ISIS process. The correct explanation is option A. ISIS authentication cannot be applied in IPv6 environments. Option B. This command is mainly used to make is the ISIS hello message carry authentication information during the transmission process. Option C. All router domain authentication methods of the same routing domain are MD5. The password is hello and ISIS SNP and LSP will spread normally. Option D. Outing routing domain authentication is primarily used to allow Level 1 and Level 2 SNP and LSP messages to carry authentication information during delivery. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, in order for routers at both ends of the IPv6 over IPv4 manual tunnel to exchange routing information, OSPv3 can be enabled on the tunnel. OSPF v3 will be able to form a normal neighbor relationship, and the tunnel interface will be treated as a P2P link interface. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is the following statement about VLAN aggregation correct? Option A. Sub-VLAN is used to isolate broadcast domains. Option B. A super VLAN can contain one or more sub-VLANs. Option C. The super sub-VLAN contains a physical interface that can establish a layer 3 VLAN if interface. Option D. Sub-VLAN contains a physical interface that can establish a layer 3 VLAN if interface. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is regarding the characteristics of CE double attribution. The description is wrong with. Option A. CE accesses the backbone through two links that can be used as both load sharing and primary and standby links. Option B. CE and PE form a CE dual home network which can ensure high network availability. Option C. VRFs of two PEs connected to the same CE can belong to the different VPNs. Option D. In the CE dual home network, it is possible to generate loops, and you can use route tag to solve the loop problem. Correct answer is option C. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, in a multicast network, what causes multicast traffic to not forward properly? Option A. The router does not have an RPF route. Option B. PIM is not enabled on the RPF interface. Option C. The upstream router will receive the PIM join message dropped. Option D. Multi-router egress network. This router is not DR. Correct answer is option A, B and option C. Next question is, IPSGs can statically configure binding tables or form binding tables by using them with DHCP snooping. True or false? Give the correct answer in the comment section. Next question is, which of the following are single packet attacks? Option A. Special control message attacks. Option B. Scan probe attack. Option C. DDoS attack. Option D. Malformed message attack. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, WRED is configured on the newly deployed router HW. What is the correct description of the WRED feature below? Option A. WRED can set different drop thresholds and packet loss rates for packets of different priority. Option B. When the flow exceeds the minimum threshold, WRED begins to discard all inlet flow tail drop. Option C. Avoid global synchronization by selectively dropping multiple TCP streams. Option D. Low bandwidth traffic is easier to drop than high bandwidth traffic. Correct answer is option A and option C. Next question is regarding the FTP protocol. Is it correct in the description below? Option A. In FTP style, the client completes the initialization of the TCP session for control and data. Option B. In FTP active, the server side tells the client which port it expects to send data on by demanding port. Option C. FTP always uses a TCP session to transmit control information and data information. Option D. FTP always uses the TCP port to establish a data session and ICP port 21 to establish a control session. Option E. FTP always uses TCP port 21 to establish a data session and TCP port 20 to establish a control session. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, if a Huawei switch runs the RSTP protocol, when will the BPDUs on a port on the switch be aged? Option A. On the interface, RSTP does not age BPDU. Option B. After more than 6 seconds. Option C. After MAGE times out. Option D. After hello time times out. Option E. After the forward delay timeout. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, which of the following are used in Ethernet? Option A. A MAC address in a non-canonical format. Option B. CSMA CD in multiplexed interviews. Option C. MAC address in canonical format. Option D. 8025 encapsulated frames. Option E. 8023 encapsulated frame. Correct answer is option A. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, the following statement about the VXLAN gateway is incorrect. Option A. Layer 2 gateway used to solve the problem of tenant access of the VXLAN virtual network and can also be used for subnet communication of the same VXLAN virtual network. Option B. Layer 3 gateway used for cross-subnet communication of the VXLAN virtual network and access to external networks. Option C. VXLAN Layer 3 gateways can be divided into centralized gateways and distributed gateways. Option D. Layer 2 gateway and VPN instance binding. Correct answer is option D. Next question is to build a loopless layer 2 network. Which of the following schemes is optimal? Option A. Stacking plus link aggregation. Option B. TRILL plus MSTP. Option C. MSTP. Option D. Link collection plus MSTP. Correct answer is option A. Next question is the default configuration switch has an empty MAC address table at this time and hosts are connected to the switch issues the first unicast data frame. So what will be the switch do after receiving the teaching system? Option A. The switch will drop the data frame. Option B. The switch records the source MAC address of the data frame and floods the data frame. Option C. The switch will forward data to interface. Option D. Based on the maze MAC address of the data frame, the switch caches the data frame and waits for the destination host to send the effect frame before forwarding it. Correct answer is option B. Next question is if a Huawei S series switch needs to designate a member switch as the primary switch of the stack, it can power on this switch first and then power on other member switches after 20 seconds. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is the following description of 802.1s deployment characteristics is correct. Option A. All VLANs share a spanning tree instance. Option B. Multiple bridges share a spanning tree instance. Option C. Each VLAN has one spanning tree instance. Option D. Multiple VLANs share a spanning tree instance. Correct answer is option D. Next question is the following description of the attributes of BGP is correct. Option A. The A is deficit of the adjacent A is ranked at the far right of the list of AS underscore path in the BGP route entry. Option B. When the BBGP speaker publishes a route learned from an eBGP peer to an iBGP peer, it does not change the next hop attribute of that routing information. Option C. Local underscore pref is valid only between eBGP peers and is not advertised to third-party AS. Option D. A route can have only one community attribute value. Correct answer is option B. Next question is when the ABR is a type 5 by 7 LSA switch router in the NSSA zone, then the ABR can be used against the type 7 LSA. The converted type 5 LSA is aggregated. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, the following statement about the VXLAN gateway is incorrect. Option A. Layer 2 gateway used to solve the problem of tenant access of the VXLAN virtual network and can also be used for subnet communication of the same VXLAN virtual network. Option B. Layer 3 gateway used for cross-subnet communication of the VXLAN virtual network and access to external networks. Option C. VXLAN Layer 3 gateways can be divided into centralized gateways and distributed gateways. Option D. Layer 2 gateway and VPN instance binding. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, to build a loopless layer 2 network, which of the following schemes is optimal? Option A. Stacking plus link aggregation. Option B. TRILL plus MSTP. Option C. MSTP. Option D. Link collection plus MSTP. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, the default configuration switch has an empty MAC address table at this time and hosts are connected to the switch issues the first unicast data frame. So what will be the switch do after receiving the teaching system? Option A. The switch will drop the data frame. Option B. The switch records the source MAC address of the data frame and floods the data frame. Option C. The switch will forward data to interface. Option D. Based on the mesh MAC address of the data frame, the switch caches the data frame and waits for the destination host to send the effect frame before forwarding it. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, if a Huawei S series switch needs to designate a member switch as the primary switch of the stack, it can power on this switch first and then power on other member switches after 20 seconds. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Next question is, the following description of 802.1s deployment characteristics is correct. Option A. All VLANs share a spanning tree instance. Option B. Multiple bridges share a spanning tree instance. Option C. Each VLAN has one spanning tree instance. Option D. Multiple VLANs share a spanning tree instance. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, the following description of the attributes of BGP is correct. Option A. The A is deficit of the adjacent A is ranked at the far right of the list of AS underscore path in the BGP route entry. Option B. When the BBGP speaker publishes a route learned from an eBGP peer to an IBGP peer. It does not change the next hop attribute of that routing information. Option C. Local underscore pref is valid only between eBGP peers and is not advertised to third-party AS. Option D. A route can have only one community attribute value. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, when the ABR is a type 5x7 LSA switch router in the NSSA zone, then the ABR can be used against the type 7 LSA. The converted type 5 LSA is aggregated. True or false? Correct answer is option A, true. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, what are the wrong statements about OSTPF's router LSA and network LSA? Option A. There must be both router LSA and network LSA in the OSPF network. Option B. Network LSA carries both topology and routing information. Option C. A router running OSPF must produce a network LSA. Option D. A router running OSPF must produce a router LSA. Correct answer is option A and option C. Next question is, the following description of MED is correct. Option A. MED default value is 100. Option B. MED can only be passed within this AS. Option C. MED is an optional non-transitional attribute. Option D. MED, the default value is 0. Correct answer is option C and option D. Next question is, which of the following scenarios is not suitable for deploying interface policy routing? Option A. In the scenario of multiple ISP egresses of enterprise networks, different network segments of the intranet access the internet through different ISP egresses. Option B. The traffic accessed by the intranet and extranet to the side-mounted security detection device is pulled on the core switch. Option C. Modify the next hop of locally originating traffic. Option D. Pull the traffic of the intranet and the internet accessing each other on the core switch to the AC device attached to the side. Correct answer is option C. Next question is regarding MPBGP. The following description is wrong. Option A. Radio MPBGP needs to assign a private label to the VPN v4 route. Option B. PE and CE are routed through BGP interaction. You need to create a BGP process on CE for each VPN instance. Option C. The message type and VPN v4 routing publishing policy for MPBGP are the same as for BGP4. Option D. MPBGP advertises VPN v4 through two attributes. MP underscore rich underscore NLRI and MP underscore unrich underscore NLRI route. Correct answer is option B. Next question is regarding BGP MPLS IP VPN routing interactions. The following description is incorrect. Option A. The ingress PE changes the IPv4 route received by the CE to the VPN v4 route and the storage. Option B. PE is carried out according to different VPN instances. What interacts with the CE is IPv4 routing information. Option C. After receiving the VPN v4 route issued by the ingress PE, the egress PE filters the VPN v4 route according to the RT attribute carried by the route. Option D. The egress PE can send an IPv4 route to the remote CE via BGP, IGP, or static routing. Correct answer is option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is the following description of the characteristics of cross-domain VN. Option C is correct. Option A maximum of 2 layers of tags need to be used in the message forwarding process. Option B VPMV4 routes are not saved on the ASBR and VPNV routes are not advertised to each other. Option C VPN routes are exchanged directly between the ingress PE and egress PE and do not require an intermediate device to secure a circular VPN route. Option D cross-domain VN. Option C which is not suitable for use when spanning multiple AS. Correct answer is option B and option C. Next question is what is the following description of MPLS incorrect? Option A. The length of the MPLS tag is 20 to 24 packets forwarding. Option B. The tag space range of dynamic signaling protocols such as LDP, MP, BGP is 16 to 1023. Option C. When using the TTL processing method of pipe mode, the IP packet transmits the TTL of the IP packet over the IPLS network. The value is only -1 for the MPLS in and out nodes. Option D. MPLS supports multi-layer label nesting and the S-bit value of the innermost label is 1. Correct answer is option B. Next question is what of the following actions can enable fast failure detection on multicast networks? Option A. Shorten the hold time of join prune messages. Option B. Reduce the interval at which the interface sends hello messages. Option C. A PIM BFD session is established between neighbors. Option D. Reduce the interval between sending join-prone messages. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, if the PIM-SM protocol is running in a multicast network, you need to configure RP, and the configuration equation of RP is divided into dynamic RP and static RP. The following configuration description of the RP is correct. Option A. When you configure dynamic RP, you need to configure BSR as a backup of the RP. Option B. When you configure a static RP, you need to configure the BSR to advertise the RP information. Option C. When configuring a static RP, you need to specify the information for the RP on all PIM routers. Option D. When you configure dynamic RP, you do not need to configure BSR. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, what is the following correct for the process of registering the source side DR with RP in PIM-SM? Option A. Encapsulated in the registered message is multicast service data. Option B. RP sends a registration stop message as soon as it receives the registration message. Option C. Registered messages are used to build the RPT tree between source DR and RP. Option D. Registered packets are multicast packets. Correct answer is option A. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, the following statement about the alliance is correct. Option A. The consortium divides an AS into sub-AS and the alliance external AS still considers the consortium to be an AS. Option B. Subsystems within a consortium can use private AS numbers. Huawei NE/AR routers, a consortium can be configured with up to 30 subsystems. Option C. Consortium can easily detect the routing loop within the AS because eBGP is running between the sub-AS. Option D. The sub-AS number of the consortium, which by default notifies BGP peers outside the consortium. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, the following about the router LSA of OSPF v3 is correct. Option A. The router LSA data area contains the link local address. Option B. The router LSA data area contains the interface ID of the neighbor on this side. Option C. Similar to OSPF v2, the option field exists in the header of LSA, not in the data area of router LSA. Option D. When LS type is equals to 0 into 0001, in the head of LSA, the data area representing LSA is router LSA. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, When judging the old and new LSA, the serial number parameter and the age parameter are used, and the following two parameters are correct for: option A, when the router receives two LSAs where the sequence number is the same and the checksum is the same, the smaller the age, the better. Option B, when the router receives the age of the LSA is set to 3600 seconds S, the LSA is unavailable. Option C, if the serial number of the LSA reaches the end value of this, the current router advertises an LSA with an age of 3600 S. Option D, both the serial number and age parameters can determine whether the LSA is old or new, and the router prioritizes the sequence to participate in the teaching, and the larger the better. Correct answer is option C and option D. Next question is, which nationality meets the following two conditions? First, BGP router A can choose whether the update message is based on the nationality. If router B receives a update message containing a crosshatch run by B does not have an identified solidity, but will also contain a multi-phased update retracts the advertisement to router C. Router C may recognize and apply this attribute. Option A, aggregator. Option B, local underscore pref. Option C, multi underscore exit underscore disk. Option D, community. Correct answer is option A and option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, when there are multiple redundant links in an ISIS network, multiple equivalent routes may occur. Regarding equivalent routing within an ISIS network, which of the following descriptions is wrong? Option A, when the number of equivalent routes present in the networking is greater than the number configured by the command, and these routes have the same priority, the next hop device system IID, large routes are preferred for load sharing. Option B, after you configure the equivalent routing priority, when the ISIS device forwards traffic to the destination segment, it will not use load sharing, but forward the traffic to the next hop with the highest priority. Option C, for each of the equivalent routes, you can assign a priority with the highest priority routes preferred and the rest as backup routes. Option D, if load sharing is configured, traffic is evenly distributed across each link. Correct answer is option D. Next question is regarding the description of the BGP neighbor. The error is option A, BGP routers that support auto discovery neighbors. Option B, BGP establishing neighbors must be configured with MD5 authentication. Option C. BGP needs to establish a UDP connection before establishing a neighbor. Option D. BGP to establish a neighbor relationship needs to first interact with the link state information. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is the following statement about ISIS IPv6 is correct. Option A. In order to support the processing and calculation of IPv6 routes, ISIS has added TLV 232 and 236. Option B. By default, ISIS has the multi-topology feature turned on. Option C. ISIS works at the data link layer and only needs to add a new TLV to support IPv6. Option D. In order to support the processing and calculation of IPv6 routes, ISIS has added NLPID to the 129 TLV. Correct answer is option A, C and option D. Next question is in the evaluation from IPv4 networks to IPv6, some transition technologies have emerged. Which of the following are common types of transition technologies? Option A. Dual stack technology. Option B. Tunneling technology. Option C. Compatible with technology. Option D. Conversion technology. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is regarding the description of the encapsulation format of the labels in the MPLS. The correct one is option A. The TTL field in the label has a similar meaning to the TTL time to live in the IP packet and also has the effect of preventing loops. Option D. The total length of an MPLS single tag is 4 bytes, 32 bits. Option C. For Ethernet triple P packets, the tag stack is like a cushion layer located between the layer 2 header and the data. And when there is a VLAN tag, the MPLS header is placed on the Etherhead and VLAN tag between. Option D. Label in the S field I bit used to identify whether the label is bottom level and a value of 1 indicates that it is a penultimate level. Correct answer is option A and option B. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, the following description of the BGP route reflector is option A. Cluster underscore list is an optional non-staging property for ring protection within the cluster. Option B. The route learned from the client. All non-clients and clients publish to this RR. Option C. A network of bones is divided into multiple reflection clusters, each of which configures the other RRs as an non-clients and establishes an IBGP full connection between the RRs. Option D. The originator underscore ID attribute is generated by the route reflector RR for intercluster ring protection. Correct answer is option B and option C. Next question is IPv6 introduces the solicited node address which is described correctly below. Option A. This is a specific address that is used for resolution in ARPv6, the MAC address. Option B. The solicited node address on the router interface is automatically generated and can have multiple. Option C. If the solicited node address is not configured, the router automatically generates one on each interface. Option D. IPv6 introduced the solicited node address to support IPv6 multicast. Correct answer is option B. Next question is if you have a local area network running 802.1d spanning tree protocol, the non-root switch does not receive which parameter under the root switch? Option A. Max age. Option B. Root cost. Option C. Forward delay. Option D. Hold time. Option E. Hello time. Correct answer is option D. Next question is the following description of the CHAP authentication function in the PPP protocol is correct. Option A. The username must be configured under the authenticated party interface for CHAP authentication. Option B. If the authenticator does not have a username configured, password. Option C. Can also be configured without the authenticated party interface using the authentication sequence ID, random number, and key a hash value. Option D is calculated using the MD5 algorithm. 3 message interactions are required for authentication, and only the username is transmitted on the network without the password. Correct answer is option A, C, and option D. Next question is ISIS elects DIS in broadcast multiplexed access networks, and the following statement about DIS is correct. Option A. ISIS elects DIS by comparing priorities and MAC addresses if the priorities are consistent. Option B. In a broadcast multiple access network, DIS sends hello PDUs at 3 times the frequency. Option C. DIS guarantees database synchronization by periodically sending CSNP messages. Option D. DIS supports preemption function after the new DIS preemption is successful. There is no need to flood any LSP packet. Correct answer is option A, B, and option C. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, although the STP protocol can solve the loop problem, it affects the quality of user communication due to the slow convergence of the network topology. RSTP has made many improvements to STP. Which of the following is not an improvement of RSTP to STP? Option A. In addition to the 3-port state RSTP, WISE adds 2 new port rows. Option B. Non-root switches running RSTP send configuration BPDUs at intervals specified by hello timer, a behavior that is entirely autonomous for each device. Option C. RSTP port state specification is divided according to whether the port forwards user traffic and learns the MAC address, reducing the original 5-port states to 3. Option D. If a port does not receive a configuration BPDU sent by the upstream device for 4 consecutive hello time, the device considers the negotiation with this neighbor to fail. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, what parameters can the DHCP v6 server assign to DHCP v6 clients? Option A. SNTP server address. Option B. IPv6 address prefix. Option C. Gateway address. Option D. DNS server address. Correct answer is option A, B and option C. Next question is, what are the 3 ways to send IPv4 messages? Option A. Broadcast. Option B. Unicast. Option C. Multicast. Option D. Any broadcast. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is, which of the following parameters should be modified to re-establish the ISIS neighbor relationship? Option A. Modify the cost value of the ISIS interface. Option B. Modify the send interval for the IIH of the ISIS interface. Option C. Modify the level of the ISIS interface. Option D. Modify the IP address of the ISIS interface. Correct answer is option C and option D. Next question is regarding BGP's recognized arbitrary attributes. Which of the following descriptions is correct? Option A. Must be passed between BGP neighbors. Option B. All BGP routers must be recognized. Option C. There is no requirement to be present in the update message and you can decide whether to add it to the update message on a case-by-case basis. Option D. The BGP router cannot recognize. Correct answer is option B and option C. Next question is, which of the following BGP attributes is not required in the update message for a BGP route? Option A. Width. Option B. Local preference. Option C. As underscore path. Option D. Origin. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is the main routing policy tools that BGP can use are filter policy and route policy, where fit policy can only filter routes and route policy can only modify routes. True or false? Correct answer is option B, false. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, the HW Appliance Network Administrator plans to migrate IGMP v2 in the multicast network to IGMP v3. Where does IGMP v3 improve over IGMP v2? Option A. IGMP v3 adds the ability for hosts to specify multicast groups that do not join a specific multicast source. Option B. IGMP v3 adds the ability for hosts to specify multicast groups that are joined to a specific multicast source. Option C. IGMP v3 adds request to send and clear to send between source and local IGMP queries. Option D. IGMP v3 removes the report suppression feature for membership reporting. Option E. IGMP v3 removes the ability to include all sources in a wildcard group. Correct answer is option A, B and option D. Next question is, what does RT do in MPLS VPN? Option A allows the peer PE to decide which VPN v4 routes to import into a particular VRF. Option B allows peer PE to decide which VPN v4 routes not to import into a particular VRF. Option C allows the peer CE to decide which VPN v4 routes to import into a particular VRF. Option D allows the peer CE to decide which VPN v4 routes not to import into a particular VRF. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is, the OSPF3 protocol is separately developed protocol that differs somewhat from OSPF2 in that OSPF v3 is link-based rather than network segmented, and the following statement is incorrect. Option A. Two OSPF routers connected to the link can establish a neighbor relationship even if their IPv6 address prefixes are different. Option B. The routing information obtained by the OSPF v3 router from the neighbor uses the neighbor's link local address as the next hop in the forwarded packet. Option C. For two OSPF routers connected to the link, you can establish a neighbor relationship even if you do not configure a unicast IPv6 address. Option D. All OSPF v3 interfaces use the link local address as the destination address of the message. Correct answer is option D. Next question is the following description of BGP load sharing is wrong with option A. The AS underscore path properties of the equivalent routes that form load sharing must be different. Option B. The destination CIDR blocks are the same and load sharing can be formed between BGP routes with different sources. Option C. If BGP load sharing is implemented, the local device needs to configure the peer next hop local command to change the next hop address to its own address when issuing a route to an IBGP peer group. Option D. IBGP routes and eBGP routes that reach the same destination in the public network can form a load sharing. Correct answer is option A, B, C, and option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Question is, the rules for RR to publish routes break the rules for horizontal segmentation of IBGP, so it is possible to cause loops within the AS. What routing attributes does RR use to prevent loops? Option A. Next hop. Option B. Originator ID. Option C. As AS path. Option D. Cluster list. Correct answer is option B and option D. Next question is the address resolution feature for NDP in the following description is incorrect. Option A. When sending a never request packet, the source address is set as the link local address. Option B. Of the local interface, two types of ICMP v6 messages. Option C. Are used in the address resolution process. Never request and never advertisement address resolution implements the ability to resolve from IPv6 addresses to link layer addresses. Option D. When sending a never request packet, the destination address must be the multicast address of the neighbor's requested node. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, there is a concept of FEC forwarding equivalence class in MPLS. So what criteria can FEC not allocate based on? Option A. Application protocol. Option B. Class of service. Option C. Destination address. Option D. Fragment of set. Correct answer is option D. Next question is, the following description of the TTL in the MPLS header is correct. Option A. A TTL that acts like an IP header and is used to prevent message loops. Option B. To control label distribution. Option C. Limit LSR. Option D. Control of upstream devices for label distribution. Correct answer is option A. Next question is, For the description of firewall security zones, the following statement is correct. Option A. The same interface of a firewall can belong to a different security zones. Option B. Different security zones of the firewall, the priority can be the same. Option C. The built-in security zone of the firewall can be deleted. Option D. Different interfaces of the firewall can belong to the same security zone. Correct answer is option D. Next question is regarding BGP 4 plus. The following statement is correct. Option A. BGP 4 plus carries the next hop address of the route through the network address of the next hop in the NLRI properties MP underscore reach. Option B. BGP 4 plus carries the next hop address of the IPv6 route through the next underscore hop attribute. Option C. The next underscore hop attribute does not exist in the BGP 4 plus. Option D. BGP 4 plus carries the prefix and mask length of the IPv6 route through the NLRI attribute. Next question is what categories can ACLs be divided into? Option A. Advanced ACLs. Option B. Two-layer ACL. Option C. User-defined ACLs. Option D. Basic ACL. Correct answer is option A and option D. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, which of the following statements about radius is correct? Option A. MAC authentication does not require a username password, so you cannot use radius to authenticate the user. Option B. Radius supports both wired and wireless access modes. Option C. Separation of radius protocol authentication, authorization, and audit. Option D. Radius authentication and portal authentication cannot be used together because the portal server can typically be used to authenticate users when portal authentication is deployed. Correct answer is option B. Next question is, what are some of the following mispresentations about URPF, IPSG, and DAI technologies? Option A. DAI does not support manual configuration of binding tables. Option B. IPSG checks the source IP address and source MAC address of the IP packet, and DAI only checks the correspondence between the IP and the MAC. Option C. URPF can be used to protect against DDoS spoofed source attacks. Option D. IPSG technology checks IP packets for source IP spoofing attack prevention, while DAI checks ARP packets to filter attack sources. Correct answer is option A and option B. Next question is, Huawei's two switches SWA and SWB are connected together by 7 Ethernet cables, and static link clustering is configured, and the corresponding port on the switch SWA is Ethernet 1/0/1, Ethernet 1/0/2, Ethernet 1/0/3, Ethernet 1/0/4, Ethernet 1/0/5, Ethernet 1/0/6, Ethernet 1/0/7, configured in order of port. If the switch SWB supports only 6 ports per aggregation group. Option A. In the case of consistent configuration of each port, Ethernet 1/0/6 port is an aggregate group unselected port. Option B. In the case of consistent configuration of each port, the Ethernet 1/0/1 port is an aggregate group unselected port. Option C. With the same configuration of each port, the Ethernet 1/0/7 port is the aggregate group unselected port. Option D. With the same configuration of each port, SWA randomly selects one of the 7 ports as the aggregate group unselect port. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, in a shared network, what mechanism does PIM-SM use to prevent duplicate traffic? Option A. Register mechanism. Option B. BSR-RP mechanism. Option C. Assert mechanism. Option D. Join prune mechanism. Correct answer is option C. Next question is, what are the following statements about 802.1x radius and HWTA-CACS certification? Option A. Users can use 802.1x authentication to access the network and complete identity authentication through radius. Option B. Radius authentication and WTA-CACS authentication are mutually exclusive and cannot be two-factor authentication for the same user at the same time. Option C. Radius authentication and HWTA-CACS authentication can perform two-factor authentication for the same user at the same time, which is more secure. Option D. Radius authentication is mutually exclusive with 802.1x authentication. Correct answer is option A and option B. Today we are covering Huawei H12-891 HCIE-Datacom. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Question is, the correct description of the extended features of ISIS is? Option A. When the amount of information in the link state protocol data packet PDU to be released by ISIS is too large, the ISIS router will generate multiple LSP shards to carry more ISIS information. Option B. ISIS can choose whether to authenticate incoming SNP and LSP packets. Option C. If there are other vendors' devices on the network and do not support the LSP sharding function, the sharding expansion mode must be configured as Mode 1. Otherwise, the message will not be recognized by other vendors' devices. Option D. After you enable the LSP shards extension feature of your router, you can use it without restarting the ISIS process. Next question is regarding the difference between NSR and NSF. The correct one is regarding the difference between NSR and NSF. The correct one is option A. The NSR must rely on a neighbor router to complete. Option B. Both NSR and NSF require a neighbor router to complete. Option C. NSF must rely on neighbor routers to complete. Option D. NSF does not require a neighbor router to complete. Correct answer is option A, B and option C. Next question is configuration under a certain interface ISIS timer Hello 5 level 2. The following statement is correct. Option A. The hello packet sent at level 1 and level 1 to 2 are both 5 seconds. Option B. The hello packets sent at level 1 are sent at 5 seconds interval. Option C. The level 2 hello packet send interval is 5 seconds. Option D. The CSNP packet sending interval for this interface level 2 is 5 seconds. Correct answer is option C. Next question is the flood range in OSPF v3 is the LSA within the entire autonomous system. Option A. Intra-area prefix LSA. Option B. A is external LSA. Option C. Link LSA. Option D. Inter-area prefix LSA. Correct answer is option B. Next question is regarding the stub region in the OSPF protocol. The following statement is correct. Option A. Virtual connections cannot traverse the stub region. Option B. Backbone zones cannot be configured as stub zones. Option C. ASBR cannot exist in the stub zone. Option D. Type 7 LSA injection is not allowed in the stub zone. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D. Next question is BGP eVPN type 2 routes are used to pass IRB type routes with information including option A. Layer 2 VNI. Option B. Host IP address. Option C. Host MAC address. Option D. 3 layers of VNI. Correct answer is option A, B, C and option D.